I'm 50 pages into Bunny, and I love it. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead is my favorite of the year. 80 pages in, but I'm obsessed.
Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. So today I'm excited to bring you a video that I just never thought I'd be filming, but I am so excited to be filming. So I'm doing this intro clip a lot earlier than I'm actually going to be reading these books. But today and during this vlog, I'm going to be testing if we can trust, or if I can trust Kayla or Books and Lala's taste in books. So if you guys don't know, Kayla loves to do some really interesting concepts of her vlogs, testing out different theories and, you know, letting various factors decide her reading. I absolutely love sort of the experimental nature of her videos, and she's just an icon and I cannot wait to see what she'll think of this video. She's gonna think I'm crazy, but I can't wait.
Oh my god, she's insane.
So the idea for this video sort of came about when I joined Kayla and Aaron for the Literally Dead book club back in September. I think we read All's Well by Mona Awad together, and while doing the live show we were discussing other books and everything, and there was a bunch of books that I realized over the course of this year that I've read because of Kayla and I really enjoyed, and All's Well was one of them. And I was like, you know, there's a bunch of other books that she's recommended before that I actually do really want to read. I just haven't gotten around to. And so with that line of thought, I ended up coming to the realization that there were actually 3 books in specific that I owned, that I wanted to read, that seemed like they could go both bad and good, and that Kayla really loved. So those 3 books are In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, which is a thriller. And this one seemed really interesting because it is about a college reunion, I believe, and some sort of murder that happens, and that's about all I know. The next book is one that Kayla found very controversial for her book club, and that is Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas. And this one, as far as I know, is a bit of a dark academia, and that is basically about all I know. And then the final book is another one that many people either love or hate or just don't know how they feel about, and that is Bunny by Mona Awad. And this one I obviously want to read because I read All's Well and loved it, and although I know both are very different, I just needed to know how this one is and what it's about, and just find out if I'm gonna be one of the people who loved it or hated it. Hello my friends, we are interrupting this programming to talk a little bit about today's sponsor, which is VIVAIA. So VIVAIA is an ethically responsible shoe and apparel brand for everyone. They were kind enough to give me 3 pairs of their shoes, which I'm going to show you today. They're all made from recycled materials and feature thick cut natural herbal insoles as well as anti-slip rubber outsoles. Their material is deodorant and keeps you warm while also being super comfortable, breathable, and flexible. So for this video, I thought I would style each of the pairs of shoes that I received with an outfit that sort of matched each of the books that I'm going to be reading in this video. So first up we have the pointed toe lace-up Oxfords here in cream ivory, and just look at these. They're so gorgeous and I love this color so much because I feel like I own nothing in this color. But in general I really do love Oxfords personally. I think they're just such a cute look, but I've never had ones that are like really comfortable. Most of them take a really long time to break in or are just like uncomfortable regardless when you wear them for a long time. But these Oxfords are one of the most comfortable pair I have ever worn because of the way that VIVAIA makes their like fabric and their shoe material. It's just so nice and breathable to wear. So these shoes just seemed so preppy and cute, so I thought that they matched really well with Bunny by Mona Awad. So I styled these with some leggings and then an oversized sort of cable knit sweater in cream. The entire outfit gave me like writing seminar vibes, so I feel like it really matched the aesthetic of Bunny for me. All right, next I have these square toe chunky heel boots in chocolate brown. I've always wanted a pair of like chocolate brown boots, and these are so freaking gorgeous. I love just like the look. I love like the fabric nature of the shoes, and also I love the heel on them. They're super cute. And these ones again are so gorgeous and elegant as well, while also being super breathable and comfortable. I have so many pairs of boots that are just a horror to walk in after like a few hours, but these ones are so nice and last an entire day. So these brown boots I feel like really match the aesthetic of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and I paired these with another pair of black leggings, a a cable knit brown sweater, and then a brown overcoat that I had that is perfect for fall time. I feel like the entire outfit gave me like university chic vibes and definitely would be something that I would have worn to university, I feel like, if I felt like being extra fashionable. And I feel like it also just fits like that reunion vibe that the book has. Alrighty, and then the final pair of shoes that VIVAIA gifted me was the square toe chunky heel in solid black. And these are so freaking cute. They're just like the adorable, like perfect everyday pair of black heels, and which are not too high and also not too low. And these, let me tell you, are so freaking comfortable. One of the things that I absolutely hate about wearing heels is that they're just so uncomfortable, but these ones, because of like their height, but also the material that they're made out of, are just so comfortable to wear, including the insoles as well. They just make it really nice to walk in, and I personally just love them so much. And I feel like since these are black and sort of dark, they fit the aesthetic of Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas. And for the outfit that I matched with these shoes, I tried to keep it pretty monochrome and dark to fit the vibe of the book. And so I picked out some plaid pants and a mock neck black top. Overall, I feel like it matches the gothic and creepy tone of the book while also being super cute and stylish when you add the heels to it. So yeah, I really love all three pairs that VIVAIA sent me today. They're super cute, really comfortable, and the perfect things that I would wear once this like Canadian winter is over outside my window. And I just cannot wait to wear them all with the various outfits that they could fit. And of course, today I have a little discount code for my subscribers. So if you want to grab some VIVAIA shoes or any of the apparel on their website, you can use my 18% off code, which is just my name, Jananie, and use the link in my description to grab that discount. Obviously, it always helps me out when you guys click those links and use these discount codes, especially if you're gonna grab something anyway. And I appreciate your support all the time. I really think VIVAIA is just so cool, and I love the idea that it's made from recycled materials. So I highly recommend checking them out and using that link in my description. Thank you so much to VIVAIA for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to testing whether we can trust Kayla's taste in books.
What were we talking about? Bunny. I'm 50 pages into Bunny, and I love it.
Hello my friends, so today for this vlog we are starting with Bunny by Mona Awad. I was gonna start with In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but I noticed how short this one was and I realized I already had the audiobook on Audible, so I was like, okay, it is time to pick this up. I have started like maybe a chapter of this and I already love the vibes. I love the narrator. I love her attitude and like her tone of voice when she is speaking because it sounds exactly how I imagine this character would be speaking. She's sort of complaining about her classmates in her creative writing program and how they all call each other Bunny and they're all sort of vapid, and they have this like gathering that they do called the Smut Salon, and she's just so judgy as a character, which I love. I love judgy main characters because they make for interesting narrators, especially when it's told in like first person. So yeah, so far after like a couple chapters in, I'm loving this. I'm curious to see how it's gonna go because I know a lot of people were like, what the F by the end of the book. It is like a very short book though. It's like only 300 pages and I think the audiobook is like only 11 hours, which when I listen to it on like double speed is like way less than that, which is usually the speed I listen to at. So I'm hoping I can binge read this today and tomorrow and finish it and let you know my thoughts. But I do feel like so far it seems quite promising, and I feel like I'm gonna love it. We'll see if my theory is wrong, but I will update you later. Hello my friends, it's a lot later. It's about 6 p.m. I'm in my pajamas because that's how I live my life during lockdown. I am about almost halfway through Bunny by Mona Awad, and I have many thoughts. This is going just spectacularly. I am really enjoying it. I'm listening to the audiobook, love the audiobook, as I said, and I think I have about 4 hours left on the audiobook, so I'm definitely gonna finish this tonight, but this is definitely weird. It started out initially as like, it felt like it was gonna be a commentary on sort of this culture of academia, but also a look into the main character herself and how messed up she is. But it's getting even more interesting and creepy and weird now, especially where I am right now, because I feel like things are just really weird and strange things are happening, and I can't tell if they're like real or like something the character is imagining, and all of it is just very cool. I love the bunnies. They are just so strange, and I love that she has like different names for them, and overall just really enjoying it. I can see how Kayla loves this book because it's just very weird and slightly horrifying, which I know she likes horror and likes weird books, so totally see where this is coming from. I'm just curious to see if I'm gonna love this brand of weirdness. So we'll see how it goes. I will update you when I'm finished later tonight. Hello, my friends. It is a new day. It is Sunday. It is 12:33 p.m. and I have finished Bunny by Mona Awad. I actually finished this last night before I went to sleep, and it was a wild ride, and I felt like I needed to compose my thoughts all together before sort of telling you a little bit more about it. I did actually have to search up the plot summary of the book for a second there, because at one point I was listening to the audiobook and I couldn't tell if I was imagining half the things that were happening in the book or if they were actually happening in the book. Like, I didn't know if my brain was just like trailing off while listening to this audiobook, because there are some strange things that happen. I think when I last left you guys, I had actually just gotten to like right before part 2, and there's a part at the end of part 1 where like something is revealed and we sort of start to understand what's going on. So all the weird things that I was like, I don't get this, they made sense by the end of part 1, and I was like, oh, so this is what's going on. This does have like sort of a supernatural horror element to it, but it's like never really explained, which I'm also kind of okay with, because the whole thing is just like batshit crazy and the main character's mindset is just totally wild, and it just gets crazier and crazier as you go along, and some of the characters from the beginning sort of come back, and it takes an interesting turn, which I actually really liked. I don't know how to really like rate this. I feel like on the one hand it was like very confusing and all over the place, but on the other hand it was so well crafted. I can also see myself as like someone who would like totally make this book their entire personality after reading like the initial chapters, because it's just so wild and weird, and the bunnies are just so interesting. So I actually loved how like sort of strange and like iconic everything was in the book. I will say the ending of this book threw me for a loop, and I actually really loved it. I loved how sort of ambiguous everything was. I'm gonna say a spoiler here, so please, you know, skip through here. I'll leave spoiler on the screen. I was totally blown by the fact that Ava wasn't actually real, and that she was like the swan, and like the main character Samantha had just like conjured her as this imaginary friend. But what really threw me at the end was the very last sentence. And so at the end of the book, in the epilogue or whatever, they're graduating, whatever, and then she's just sort of thinking about the first time she met Ava on the bench by the swan, and then Jonah comes to talk to her, and then he's like, oh, so what are you going to be up to like later tonight? And she's like, oh, I don't know, probably just going home, whatever. And then she is sort of just like thinking about this time that she met Ava, and then she's like, you could come with me, I say to Jonah, if you want. And then she lowers her gaze to the mud. Sure, Samantha, says the mud. I'd love to. And it was funny because I was searching up like the ending, because I was like, did I read this right? And I searched up the ending, and like someone had left a summary about how, you know, she asked Jonah to hang out, and it's the first real friendship she's gonna have. But I'm like, no, it's the mud that responded to her, not Jonah. So he also is fake. And that was just mind-blowing. I loved it. I loved how this main character is just so unhinged and just is conjuring all of these things. And her whole thesis project was just like a narrative form of what was happening to her. And it was all fantastic. So much fun. There's just like so many like narrative bits to this and like literary conventions in this that were just so interesting. And I feel like this would be a really fun book to study in like an English class. Just for those of you who haven't read this book, I do feel like it is a treat in terms of like all of the literary things going on, and also just a really interesting like ambiguous ending, and just overall like a cool read. So yeah, so far this challenge is going really well. I really enjoyed Bunny. Even if it wasn't a 5-star, it was like still a really great read, so I'm quite happy with that. Alrighty, so it's been a few weeks since I finished Bunny by Mona Awad, and I just wanted to give you some final thoughts about this. I feel like overall this was an enjoyable read. I definitely don't think it was like a 5-star for me, and out of the 3 books that I read in this video, it was probably the second favorite for me. I completely understand why Kayla specifically loved this book. I think I personally wanted a little bit more out of it, but I still think it was like a really interesting and fun read with some like interesting questions to it. And it's just one of those books that I'm glad I read, and it was definitely like an entertaining time. I think the strong points for this book for me were just how ambiguous everything was and how you were forced to question so much of what you were reading. And I would honestly just love to study this in like an English class because I think it would just generate some really interesting discussion while also just being like a really strange read.
In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead is my favorite of the year, and really it's just because it was fun and it gave me everything that I'm looking for in a thriller. It was surprising, it was over the top.
Hello my friends, it's a new day. It is Saturday, February 5th, and I am about 176 pages into In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So this is the second book that I'm reading for this Booksandlala vlog. Kayla rated this book 5 stars, and it was in her top books of 2021 video, and I went into this with pretty high expectations. I knew it was like a dark academia thriller. It involves a reunion situation. It involves like 7 to 8 different people who are coming back to their university for a 10-year reunion, and you find out back in college one of their classmates was brutally murdered and one of them did it. And so the book actually opens up saying that everyone thought it was this one guy and they're all returning for this reunion, but the girl who died, her brother is convinced that it's someone else, and so they're sort of trying to figure out who it is, and all these different secrets start coming up, and then you start to realize that like everything was a lot more complicated. So the book is like sort of dissected between like chapters that say now and then chapters that say then, so back then in college, and it'll like sort of jump around. It's not like a linear timeline of what happened in college. It's like freshman year and then senior year and then junior year and then sophomore year, and then like jumps all around, and it's like sort of thematically organized. So I'm really enjoying like that aspect of how it's sort of like jumping around and how you're trying to figure out these different mysteries. But I do feel like the entire thing feels like a little bit overly dramatic and over the top. It feels a little bit like a Gossip Girl episode or like a Pretty Little Liars episode, in the sense that like there's always like this big drop at the end of the chapter, and the characters themselves are very catty and like have all these ridiculous secrets and are obsessed with these things that in like real life don't really matter but seem really important in college. They have their cliques and they have their like popularity contests and they have their love triangles and all this. So it both feels like a really fun like thriller and like interesting murder mystery, but it also feels like it's just like a little bit too cliche, if that makes sense. But I'm enjoying it, and I can't say that I know it's completely cliche because I don't read a lot of thrillers, but I do feel like the book is sort of like hinging itself on these tried and true tropes, and it's like working. So I'm enjoying it. I am 176 pages in. I'm on chapter 24. A lot of things have been revealed so far, and I'm really enjoying how like unhinged the main character is, or like the narrator character is. There are some chapters, like very few, that are told from some of the other characters' perspectives just because the main first person character isn't there for those scenes. But aside from that, it's mostly told from her perspective. Her name's Jessica, and she is like very unhinged. She has an interesting backstory, and there are like reasons for why she is the way she is, but it's just interesting to watch because she's so filled with like jealousy and envy and wanting to show people up and wanting to be the best and show everyone that, you know, she matters kind of thing. I'm just loving it. I love how like messed up and twisted all of these characters are, so that is an aspect that I'm enjoying and loving. I'm really curious to see how this is gonna end though. I have a theory for who the murderer is and like how it's gonna end, so I'm really hoping I'm not right because I hate it when I guess the endings of thrillers especially. Hopefully there's like some interesting twist by the end and I'm like blown away, because I feel like part of thrillers and like what makes them good is that they have like a killer ending. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I have like a little less than half of the book left, I think. So I'm gonna try and get through a bunch of it right now before I head out. And then maybe I'll go to the bookstore today and I'll bring you along. Hello friends, I just finished at the bookstore and I'm sitting in my car and I got myself some Starbucks over here, a brown sugar oat shake and espresso. I don't usually get cold drinks in the winter, but I got really warm in the store when I was wearing my jacket and like my scarf and everything, and I remembered why I don't like shopping in the winter. It's because of this situation. I just get like overheated and everything. And also dehydrated. So this is fantastic. Amazing. I recently discovered this drink when one of my friends told me about it, and it's all I want to drink now. So it's because it's dairy free, so that helps because I can't have regular milk. I also apologize for like wearing sunglasses in this clip, but it's really freaking sunny and I don't want to put like the flap down because it's just gonna cover my eyes. But that is besides the point. It is like 3 p.m. I'm about to meet one of my friends in a little bit, but I wanted to show you the books I got at the bookstore today. So I decided to leave 2 of the books I was showing in the vlog clips earlier behind. I was gonna get the Chanel Clayton book, but then I was in line and I searched up on Libby and I found both of them in ebook and audiobook. So I was like, okay, I will just borrow those and not spend 40 bucks on both books combined, but I did buy 4 of their books. The first book that I got is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, and I'm really excited for this one because it's a historical fiction. It's set in 1920s and it follows Agatha Christie and her husband. So it sort of takes a historical look at her and her life, but also, and this is on the back, why would the world's most famous mystery writer disappear for 11 days? What makes a woman desperate enough to destroy another woman's marriage? How deeply can a person crave revenge? I think there's like some historical moment, and I don't know the history that well, but Agatha Christie went missing for 11 days at some point in her life, and I forget what happened, and I remember reading this or hearing this somewhere and I thought it was just the coolest thing and like interesting moment, so I wanted a fictional version of it. I don't know if this is completely fictional or if like parts of it are based on history or if it's like an extrapolation or if it's like almost completely accurate, but regardless, this is like 30% off, so I was like, you know what, let's just grab it. I'm like really feeling historical fictions and I just want to read more of them, so I'm very excited for this one. The next book that I had to pick up was This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi, and this is her new YA fantasy series. Tahereh Mafi, if you don't know, is one of my favorite authors. I love her contemporary books, and this one sounds so fantastic. This is a Persian-inspired, like, epic fantasy, and I personally haven't read Tahereh Mafi's Shatter Me series, but this one sounds cool, and I'm hoping it's gonna be fantastic. It is a big book, though. It's like 400, almost 500 pages, so I'm not looking forward to that. But this was a cute little signed first edition, which I thought was cool, and this cover is just gorgeous, so I'm excited for this. Hopefully I can get to this sometime in March, I think, and let you know what I thought of it. And then the next book that I got is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and this book I have been meaning to read for ages and many people have raved about it to me, so I was like, you know, let me just get it. I'm also planning to read this later this year for a specific reason, hint hint, wink wink, potentially for a book club, wink wink, but yes, so I thought I would go grab a physical copy, and this book is a chonker. This one's like 500 pages as well. So yeah, I cannot wait to get to it though. It's like an intergenerational story of this Korean family, I believe, and I'm just excited for that aspect. So yeah, and also I really wanted to read this reason number 2 because the movie adaptation, or like the series adaptation, is coming soon, and Lee Min-ho is in it, who is like a famous Korean actor. I've seen him in countless Korean dramas because I'm obsessed with Korean dramas, or I used to be. I used to watch so many back in high school and university. I haven't watched as much recently, but love them. And Lee Min-ho was in so many that I watched, and so the fact that he is in this adaptation has me psyched, and I cannot wait for it to come out. And then of course, because this vlog is about Kayla and like her channel and her taste in books, I decided to pick up a book that she recently loved, and this was also on her top 10 books for 2021, I believe, so we're like on point. This is a recent fave of hers, and that is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I had meant to read this earlier actually because I just thought it was interesting to begin with, but this was a book club pick for her Literally Dead book club. They read it sometime in the fall, I don't remember which month, but I thought it was really interesting. Basically all I know about this is that it involves like a slasher mystery and like that whole horror aspect, and that's about all I know. But as I said, I'm trying to get into more horror, so I feel like this one is a good one to read and start with. I believe the author is also Indigenous, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, I did get this on ebook actually recently, but I was like, I kind of want a physical copy, so I'm excited for this. And those are all the books that I bought today at the bookstore. I think it was a pretty good haul. I'm excited for all these books. I'm going to be hanging out with some friends later today and also tomorrow, but I will be getting some reading done hopefully tomorrow morning before the live show and some point during the week. And so hopefully I'll finish In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and then I'll update you, and then I will start Catherine House and hopefully binge that in like a day or two, because I binged Bunny in like a day or two, so I feel like Catherine House will be similar. With that, I leave you. I'm gonna go off and do other things with my life. I just finished this book, and that was insane. So it's been a few weeks since I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and I realized I never actually gave you guys my final thoughts after finishing this book. You saw that clip of me freaking out right after finishing it, and honestly, that is how I felt. I was so shook by the ending and just like how everything went down. I was really happy with the way that this ended and the fact that it had like an extra twist to it. There was one aspect of the ending that I had guessed, but it was like a small part of the ending, and I liked how there was like an extra twist to the ending that I didn't see coming. I feel like who actually ended up killing Heather in the book is quite unexpected, and it was just really cool how the different like clues and elements come together. This was definitely like a traditional thriller that just had so many things going for it, and it was just so well done and well parsed out throughout the book. Out of the 3 books that I read for this video, I think this one was probably my favorite just because it was the most straightforward and enjoyable. But again, this one was still not like a complete 5 stars for me. It was still really enjoyable, and I would probably rate it like a 4 or 4.5 stars, but I feel like the characters were just slightly too melodramatic and over the top for my taste. A lot of times this book felt like a Gossip Girl episode, I would say, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I think it's just like a matter of taste and preference. I usually do enjoy like Gossip Girl and like Gossip Girl-esque things, but I feel like for a thriller it was just an interesting choice. But I also feel like it speaks to the characters and sort of what they think of themselves. They're all so convinced of like the mythology they've built around their own stories, and so that was really interesting. Like with all the main characters in these 3 books, this character was super unhinged, and I loved it, and I think that was like one of the highlights of the book because she was just such a interesting character to parse out. And I'm actually really glad that we took the book from her perspective as well because of the way that things end. One thing I did find interesting about this book also was that I found myself like really relating to the main character, the very unhinged main character, in a way that was like slightly uncomfortable. Main character is a very like envious person, I think, and it's something that I feel like all of us can relate to at some point or another, where like you have a friend or something that you're like really happy for, but you're still kind of sad for yourself. And I think it's like a very natural reaction, and so I feel like this book sort of picks out like the dark parts of people and just like emphasizes them, which was a lot of fun. So overall, this was super enjoyable. I would definitely recommend it to like anyone looking to get into thrillers or just looking for a fun thriller to read. I would probably even reread this after like a few years when I've forgotten like these specific plot details, just for like another like thrilling, fun evening, because it was a really quick read as well. And I found myself like thinking about the story and like wanting to know what happened. So yeah, just overall really, really love this one.
80 pages in, but I'm obsessed.
Hello my friends, it is Tuesday, February 8th, and I'm currently 130 pages into Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas. This book is weird. That is what I'm gonna say, but somehow it is drawing me in and I cannot stop reading this. I will say, like, I started reading maybe the first chapter and like couldn't really get into it while I was like physically reading, and then I found the audiobook on Scribd and started listening to that. And the way the narrator narrates it just is so compelling for some reason, and she does the voices of the different characters in a really distinct way, and I feel like they just come alive off the page. So I'm enjoying that, and that's actually what's getting me through this book. But yeah, I'm about 132 pages through. I have just reached year 2. The book is arranged in like the 3 years that the main character is at Catherine House. And this book, for those of you who don't know, follows a character who goes to this like mysterious higher education place called Catherine House. And the condition of Catherine House is that everyone who goes there for free tuition, but they can have no contact with the outside world during the 3 years that they're there. And there's also like this talk of like mysterious experiments and like plasma or plasm that have gone on at Catherine House, and all of it is very strange and interesting and just strange, really. And so yeah, it's split into like the 3 years that the character is at the school. I sort of flipped through just to see how long each section was, and year 1 is like long, and then year 3 is long, and like year 2 is like shorter in between. But I do remember someone on Twitter describing this as like all vibes, no plot, and that is exactly what this is. All vibes, no plot. There was like maybe 2 plot points in this entire like 130 pages, which was interesting, and I'm just curious. I'm intrigued, and I want to know what's happening and what's going on, but I'm also like majorly confused. So yeah, this one definitely has like very similar vibes to Bunny, I feel like. Bunny did move along a little bit quicker. This one is a little bit on the slower side and a lot of like meandering in comparison to Bunny, but it's strange. I can see how this fits Kayla's taste though. It's strange and weird, which I think she tends to like, which is interesting. So I'm intrigued. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'm not quite sure it's gonna be like a new favorite or something I like as much as In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I'm not yet sure if I'll like this better than Bunny yet though. So we'll see. But this is interesting. I can see how people would hate this though. It's strange. All vibes, no plot. I think I kind of knew that going into this, so like I wasn't surprised by it, but I'm intrigued. I do hope that it has like some sort of interesting twist though by the end. Mostly just weirded out by this. The main character is also strange, I would say. Not to the level of unhinged that I felt like the main character of Bunny was, or even In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. But she's just strange and meandering, and like at multiple times in the book she's called lazy, which like I would partly agree with, but also she has like this dark past that she's sort of hiding and we don't know too much about, and I want to know more there, so I'm hoping we'll get like more of a reveal later. But yeah, this is definitely not a book you go into expecting plot or like any sort of structure. It's just all vibes. Hello friends, so I finished Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas. It's been like about a week or so since I finished this, and let me tell you, this was a wild ride. I think I mentioned this at the halfway point when I gave you an update on reading this, that it felt like this book was like all vibes, no plot. And while there were some extra plot points as you get into the second half of the book, I still feel like that statement was quite true. Out of the 3 books that I read for this video, I feel like this one was definitely my least favorite. I didn't hate it, but I did think it was quite meandering and slightly didn't have a like point to it, I would say, for the majority of the book. There is a like small thread of a mystery and something that the main character is trying to figure out, but I wanted that to be like a larger aspect to the story than it actually was. I feel like this was definitely a non-traditional sort of story format. It really focuses on the journey rather than the destination for sure, and I feel like it was more of a commentary on like university life and like the idea of like this exclusive place of knowledge, rather than a like mystery or horror or anything. I feel like the entire book was just this one big metaphor, and you really see that in the way that the book actually ends, because it's this really sudden, ambiguous ending. Not in the way that Bunny was an ambiguous ending, which like leaves you questioning like really interesting things and like the state of the main character, but this one was just like sudden and ambiguous. Like you are only getting this character's life when she is in this house and when she is at this university, but everything outside of that is like a mystery. And so I feel like it adds to like this whole metaphor, which I don't even know what this metaphor is. But regardless, I just wanted like more out of this. Like I wanted to know more about the main character. I wanted to feel more for these characters. I did really enjoy the friendships that the main character makes. I particularly love the character Yaya, and just like some of the other characters as well. But there was a romance in here that I felt was pretty predictable, and I just wanted to know more about the main character and her past and her history, and all of it is sort of like hinted at, but we never get full answers. And so I feel like, again, this was just a book that was like all vibes, no plot, or no like deeper depth to it, which I wanted. which is fine. I don't 100% hate this, but I didn't like love it. It was definitely more of like a 3-star read for me. I did enjoy my time reading it, but I feel like once I got, I think 2/3 in, I was like, okay, let's get to the point, which there wasn't really one. It did feel like the book was trying to make this sort of commentary on like university culture and like how things can feel like a cult-ish, but I feel like Bunny did that a little bit better. And overall, I don't know, it was just weird. This was a strange book. And like I kind of knew that going into it, so I'm not like upset or anything by this. I feel like if I had gone into this just based off the description or thinking that it was a gothic horror, I would have been really upset. But after hearing so many reviews that didn't really love it, and even hearing Kayla herself like say that she kind of regrets letting people read this for her book club, I feel like I was prepared to be slightly disappointed by this one. So wasn't like a complete waste of time, but wasn't my favorite either. And so with that said, I have read 3 of Kayla's 5-star rated reads, and out of them, I think I really enjoyed Bunny and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Catherine House was more of a miss for me, but it was still a really fun experiment. I love that Kayla's taste in books is very specific and very niche, I feel like, which I feel like made this video a really fun test. I love a lot of the books that Kayla has recommended, but I know she and I sort of differ on a lot of our tastes as well. There are some books I loved, like The Atlas Six, that she absolutely hated. So there's definitely like a difference, but I feel like this was a pretty good test, and I feel like I can trust her taste in books with the caveat that I'm like being mindful of my own taste. For those of you who haven't read any of these 3 books, I do recommend Bunny and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, especially this one. I think if you're looking for a thriller, definitely pick it up. If you're looking for a wild read and something that will like just make you question what you read, I would read Bunny. And then if you're feeling like killing a few hours, maybe read Catherine House, but probably wouldn't recommend this one. Kayla, if you're watching this video, I hope you enjoyed this and that you didn't think I'm crazy, but this is a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you for recommending books and just being awesome overall. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out VIVAIA and get that 18% off discount using my code Jananie and the link in my description. And I will see you guys in my next video. So please remember that this story ain't over. Bye.